Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run.
This is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have Jessica Khalid. I think I have that right. And she is a senior program manager of Cooking Matters in Massachusetts. And there was an article we were just talking about it in the Community Advocate. Great big picture of some people who are participating in it. Tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so I work for a program called Cooking Matters. It's a national campaign run by Share Our Strength, an organization based in Washington, D.C. And Cooking Matters offers food skills education or opportunities for parents to learn a little bit more about how to shop for and prepare healthy meals on a budget. So we work with parents across Massachusetts to run 6-week courses and one-time grocery store tours to help them learn some new skills to prepare healthy meals that their kids will eat, that taste good, and that are affordable.
How about now, is this for mainly people who are, how do I put this, who are on assistance, or is it for anybody that's having a hard time financially?
Yep. So Share Our Strength, the organization that I work for and the organization that the Cooking Matters campaign is under, is an organization that is working to end hunger and poverty in the United States and abroad. And so our mission is really to work with families who are at risk of hunger, who are dealing with the challenges of poverty every day. And so the courses and tours and programs that we run are really geared towards families who are having trouble making ends meet, are working to maybe need some skills or some ideas or resources to be able to make those ends meet to feed their family.
Own food? Yeah, but you know I remember years and years ago, I had friends who would use the food pantries. I don't know if they're much better now, great if they are. But they went in one day, the mother, and smart girl. They were temporarily on it. It's, no big deal. She's smart. She looked at the expiration dates on the cans. Whoa, way off. So she went to the lady that was sitting at the checkout, whatever, and she said, "Look, you got a lot of expired food out here. That's super dangerous for people." And you know what that woman's comment was? A volunteer. Beggars can't be choosers. And when she told me that, I let all the ministers know in town, the priest. And I hope that person was gone because that's just not right. She felt like this. Luckily, she spoke up. You've got to, no matter where you are, check those dates. It's so important. Everybody's important. Yeah. Everybody. So we can't just live in pasta alone. So what kinds of things do you teach them to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stigma around poverty in this country, and resources like SNAP-Ed, also known as food stamps, food pantries are all really good resources that help people when they may have food insecurity or be hungry for a short period of time during a month. It may be for a month of their life, it may be for 6 months of their life, it may be for longer, but these food assistance programs really help families when they're in a crunch. And in fact, the place where the Community Advocate came and did that story, I had met a mom there a couple of years ago, and she had just lost her job working as an executive assistant in Boston, and she, in that same week, also found out that she was approved to adopt 2 children that she had been fostering. So there was a lot happening for this woman. Now she had no income. She was a single woman, had no income, and now had these 2 other children to feed. And so she ended up applying for SNAP benefits and was able to get that supplemental nutrition assistance.
For people who don't know what SNAP is, what is that again?
So SNAP is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and it's a federal nutrition program or federal food program that provides individuals who are income eligible to receive benefits to purchase food for their family. It's supplemental. It's not meant to provide all of the food resources for a family. But this woman was able to get those resources and feed her family. She came to this class because she had no idea how to cook for kids. She had never had children before, and now she had a 3 and a 5-year-old to feed, and so she was learning the skills to be able to feed them. And to your question about pasta, right? Eating healthy is about eating a variety of foods, and so we talked about that, but not only cooking a variety of healthy foods, but making sure it tastes good, because people are not going to eat healthy if that food does not taste good. So at Cooking Matters, we work with recipes that have been developed by chefs that volunteer for our program, and the recipes taste good, and they're affordable, and people like them.
Do they involve, people say, well, how can I afford hamburger and stuff like that? But it's protein. You need to mix it in with your pasta or whatever. If you're going to use pasta, I didn't grow up with it. It's okay, but they have it costs. Meat costs. How can we walk around that?
Yeah, I hear a lot that eating healthy is expensive.
Very, it can be.
And it can be expensive if you sort of don't know the rules of the road, if you don't know how to navigate unit price, if you don't know how to incorporate fresh, frozen, and canned fruits and vegetables into your meals, right? So if you're making that chili with, hamburger and tomatoes, like using canned tomatoes or throwing in a can of other vegetables to sort of beef it up, extend the life, the meat a little bit further to be used over more meals. So we talk a lot about these different strategies of stretching your food dollars, nutrition knowledge to be able to make those choices at the store that are going to fit in your food budget, but are also healthy things that your family will actually eat.
A lot of people, I think, get the wrong idea. Nobody gets rich on food stamps, okay? Nobody. And you don't get that much. And if you have a family, boy, it is a real struggle. I don't know. Now, WIC is a great program, too, for the women and infants and children.
Yeah.
And they've even come up with more things that people are able to get now. I remember when it was okay, but peanut butter and formula were the biggies. The thing is, though, I don't know, Jessica, why is it that more places like food pantries can't at least, I know produce dies, but why isn't there a way to maybe have a farmer's market brought into them more often?
Yeah, so, to talk about the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, more than half of the individuals who receive SNAP benefits are children and elderly and those who cannot work. So there are 3 categories of individuals who really need that support, and so SNAP is really set up to support those individuals. And WIC is another really useful federal nutrition assistance program that helps pregnant and nursing moms and kids from 0 to 5, provides nutrition counseling and support as well as food package. And the WIC food package has foods that have been sort of put together to support healthy and normal development for children. So
it's a good
whole wheat
package.
Tortillas and low-fat milk and lots of fruits and vegetables. So there are a lot of good benefits in there. But you're right; it can be challenging to eat healthy when you may be struggling to just put food on the table.
Oh my God, yeah! I don't know how some families do it, and these are good. They are just as good as anybody else. They lost their job, like your friend. Something happened. Maybe there's a physical or mental health reason. It's got nothing to do with their character at all. And it really, I hate it when they're put into one category. No.
There was a state rep from out in my area, and she did the SNAP challenge. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's living on the supplemental nutrition assistance that one person would get. So as a single woman, I don't know if she's a single woman, but she ended up trying to survive on $4.65 a day, and that would be the amount that person would get to prepare meals. And by the end of the week, now this is just a week that she did this, she was hungry, she was tired, she couldn't focus, and if you're not feeding your body the foods that it needs, it's hard to go for an interview at a job. It's hard to pick up your kids at school and focus and be the present parent that you need to be. So it's supplemental for a reason. It's meant to be used with other resources that families might have, but the reality is they may not have those other resources.
No, you don't, unless you go under the table. You may have to for a while. It's called survival until you can get back over the table, get a job, and then get the benefits and everything else. Jessica, how can they reach you?
So we have a great website. CookingMatters.org is our national Cooking Matters campaign website. That website has lots of good recipes and other resources of how to get involved. Locally, we have cookingmatters.org/mast, and you can find out if you're interested in volunteering in your community. We run courses and tours in Massachusetts to reach about 4,000 people.
Would you say tourism?
Tours. We do grocery store tours to teach
tour.
people how
Okay,
to
that's
shop.
type of tour.
Yeah.
I was going to say, tourism.
No.
Okay.
And we use volunteers to help us out with programs. So we have things happening in Marlborough and Hopkinton and all sorts of places in the Metro West, but also statewide.
If people live in this area, Upton area, Metro West, Blackstone Valley, Worcester County, you're up in Boston, right?
So we have an office in Boston, but our program goes from Boston all the way out to the Berkshires.
Okay, so if they contact you at the main base there in Boston, they can refer families out this way.
So our model is we work with agencies that are already serving families, and so our program isn't necessarily open to the general public.
Yeah.
We're working with an agency. Now, if there was a family that knew of a class coming up in their region, we could work with that agency to see if we could open a slot. Occasionally we do that, but all of our programs are listed on our events calendar on our website.
How many people, Jessica, can come to a class?
So our 6-week classes have between 10 and 16 parents or caregivers.
Yep.
So it's a really fun experience where we're all around a table. Everyone gets a cutting
I'd
board.
like to go.
Everyone gets a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's all about having conversations about food. Food can be a really vulnerable topic for a lot of people to talk about. So we try to create this safe space where people get down there, they prepare the meal together, we all sit down and we eat together, and we talk about what do you like, what do you not like, are your kids going to eat this, are they not, what can we do differently to make this a little easier or better for you.
Jessica, here's a safety net. Let's say family, parents, whoever go to the class, and they get like almost zero amount of food stamps per month. You can't live on. Is there a safety net? They've done all they can. They're trying to follow the class program and doing all of this. Where do people go if it's really not working? The class is great, and they're using that, but it's just not enough to get through to the next month when the next benefit comes up.
Yeah, and I think that's where food pantries come in. There's been, lots of work in improving the nutrition quality at food pantries. So I know the Worcester County Food Bank has certain guidelines in place as to foods that they will accept. And then those foods end up going out to the food pantries. The reality is a lot of food pantries get donations from the community.
Yeah, like the churches.
Yeah, so if you wanna improve the quality of the foods in your food pantry, donate foods that are going to support health.
Right.
There's lots of good resources online that you can find of if you're going to make donations to a food pantry, what are the things that would be really helpful? Canned tomato sauce that's low in salt, or whole wheat pasta, or things that have long shelf life but are still whole grains, still have vegetables, still have that nutrition that someone's going to need when they're in that emergency situation.
I think too that another thing that would be great for the children to learn is, can you make pudding? Is there a way that you can make something? Everybody deserves some kind of sweets, so how do these people make a dessert that they can afford?
Yeah, so we have recipes in our cookbook for desserts. We have, trying to think of some of the ones we do. We have a really great one that everyone's surprised about when we make it. They're black bean brownies. And so black bean brownies, we put a whole can of black beans in, we blend it up. The batter looks just like the batter you would use when you buy like a box of brownie mix. And usually people can't tell that there's.
What's it taste? It doesn't taste like sweet.
It doesn't taste like like beans. It tastes like a brownie.
It does?
It does, yeah. So I'll send you the recipe, and you can.
Are black beans sweet?
They're not, but there's other ingredients. There's eggs and sugar.
All right, so it's not
just beans.
I just picture a bunch of beans.
No.
That would be really something to say. Hey, which do you like better than what?
I don't think I could fool anyone if it was just beans. But
we are talking with Jessica Khalid, and she is a senior program manager of Cooking Matters in Massachusetts. How long has this been going on? This is great.
So Cooking Matters has been around for about 25 years.
Why haven't I heard of this?
It's a best kept secret, right?
Why?
So we need to get it out there, and that's why I'm here today to tell your viewers a little bit more about the program.
Jessica, now the time. How can people reach you to find out about classes around here?
Yeah, so if you're interested in getting involved with volunteering or find out which classes are in your community, you can go to www.ma, like Massachusetts, ma.cookingmatters.org. On our website, you'll find our events calendar as well as other volunteer opportunities. If you're interested in that black bean brownie recipe, we have that on our national website, cookingmatters.org.
Okay, now you mentioned you have a cookbook. How does someone get this cookbook?
So all of the recipes are available on the website.
On your website?
On the website,
okay.
Yep, cookingmatters.org.
Yeah.
And when participants go through our program and they graduate from the program, they receive the cookbook. So they have to stick with us for the 6 weeks in order to get that cookbook.
So the rest of us can't buy it?
But you can't buy the cookbook, but all of the recipes are available digitally on the website.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you have, so far, you're in Boston for sure, and you have classes there. How far out now have you gone with classes this way?
Yeah, so we have classes all across the state: Boston, the North Shore, the South Shore,
Worcester?
Metro West, Worcester.
That's good.
And then all the way up to like the Fitchburg, Leominster area, and then out in the Berkshire. So we are a statewide program. We're reaching families across the state. And there is hunger in this state. 1 in 7 kids is food insecure. So when you think about in your neighborhood, lots of people think, oh, it's not in my backyard, but it is. Hunger is everywhere.
What did you think about this thing where, I don't know where it was, and I hope they stopped it, but they were almost shaming the children at lunchtime in school, the ones that maybe they couldn't even afford, or the parents, whatever, to have the free, I don't know how to put this. It was what was it?
So Cooking Matters does the food skills education, helps families to get the skills they need to prepare healthy, affordable meals. Share Our Strength, the organization, also runs another campaign, which people may be familiar with, called the No Kid Hungry campaign.
Yes.
So the No Kid Hungry campaign is really about making sure that we can end childhood hunger in this country. And one of the main strategies is to address breakfast, right? So there are lots of kids who are eligible for free and reduced breakfast, but only a fraction of those kids actually get the school breakfast.
Why?
There's lots of reasons. It could be that there's no system in place for someone to bring the breakfast up to the classroom. It could be that there's an issue with trash and no one knows where the trash goes. So the No Kid Hungry campaign is working with schools and districts across the country, with state legislatures and things like that, to get school breakfast into every school. Because if a kid is eligible for school breakfast, or school lunch, they're also eligible for school breakfast. And they should be getting both when they're at school.
Definitely. I know that my mother wouldn't let me out of the house. When I was growing as a kid, you can't, a teenager, but when I was a kid, she always made sure I had breakfast that week. I got eggs and toast. That was very important. So she taught me, make sure you have breakfast. It's the best. She says it's the best meal of the day. What do they say? Eat breakfast like a king. Eat lunch like a prince. Dinner like a pauper. Well, I
think nutrition science has evolved, but the takeaway point is that kids could be getting 2/3 of their nutrition every day at school, and there's missed opportunities because we as adults in the systems that we have aren't really necessarily set up to make that happen.
But is it a financial thing with the schools? Do you think that's it?
No, so that money is available. That money is on the table.
Okay.
It's whether states and districts can draw that money down. It's available.
Why can't they draw it down?
It's logistics about a school not wanting to do it, a group of teachers who are not interested in dealing with the trash. There's lots of reasons.
I would help carry out the trash if it meant that everybody had breakfast.
Yeah. And the same goes for summer meals. So imagine that a kiddo is getting a school breakfast, and maybe the district has set up school lunches, or school lunch and school breakfast. Yeah. Once school's out, kids don't have access to those meals anymore.
So does the cookbook, the classes, do they teach how to make a really good breakfast?
Yeah, so we have breakfast recipes in there. And No Kid Hungry is also working on the logistics around making sure that kids have access to summer meals. So there's a federal nutrition program for the summer meal program. Okay. And actually locally, the Hockomock Area YMCA has been working with area agencies to set up meal sites for kids.
Where is the Hockomock?
So in Hopkinton and Franklin. Okay. I know definitely Franklin. I'm not sure about Hopkinton, but I know in the Metro West area they've been working really hard on setting up meal sites so that kids can come and get a meal, get a lunch, and then go home. For a lot of kids, that's their only meal of the day.
Oh my God! Just lunch?
Just lunch. There may be snacks along the way, but maybe in a food insecure household, there's not a lot of other food around. So there's a lot of work being done on trying to address the logistics of summer meals too.
I can't imagine. I wish someday, I guess I'm a little idealistic, but I would think maybe the schools could someday open their minds to have an adopt, kind of anonymously, I don't know, adopt a family program. I mean, that doesn't mean that they have to come, everybody has to come and eat together, but somehow, if you can just help at least one family chip in 1 month, bring the food cooked to the church or whatever, and we will make sure it gets to the right whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really innovative, great ideas happening. There's another thing that I've seen happening more often at schools called the backpack program. I don't know if you've heard of this, but if you think about Monday through Friday, kids may have access to breakfast and lunch at school, but on the weekends they may not have access to food. And so...
And summer.
And summer, right. So the backpack programs that I've seen in districts it's almost like a food pantry that they collect items from the community, from teachers, from other families and other kids, and then the person who's the coordinator of that program puts together weekend backpacks for those kids. So there's an applesauce, and there's a can of some sort of pasta or things like that. And so there's a couple meals for that kid, juice boxes for that kid over the weekend.
But how about things like peanut butter that has protein in it?
Peanut butter, yeah. So there's that whole list of healthy pantry items.
Yeah.
Those things get donated, and then those foods go out to kids kids who have been identified maybe by the teachers or counselors who are really food insecure, who need that extra food on the weekend.
Some of these kids might get misdiagnosed as having ADHD or whatever, but they're hungry, and they're going to... I think I might start acting out if I was that hungry.
Yeah.
I would not be a happy camper. I don't know how these kids do it.
Well, and there's a lot of research that... a lot of good evidence-based practices that Cooking Matters, that No Kid Hungry has looked at, of when you set up and institute a breakfast program in a school, test scores go up.
Yeah.
There's less discipline problems. We know what it feels like when we're hangry.
Yes.
And it's not a good thing. It's hard
before
to focus,
surgery or
it's hard to
something.
concentrate.
Really, even if just fasting overnight.
Right.
A lot of us don't do well.
Right. So imagine if that was your reality a lot of the time.
No.
That's very traumatic and stressful. And when we can get nutritious, healthy foods that support health into kids, they do better overall. Less discipline problems, better, test scores.
What is it going to take to ram this over the head of the administration?
So, these federal programs are out there. They exist. SNAP-Ed is part of the Farm Bill, which is a piece of legislation that is currently being discussed and debated in Congress. So we want to maintain, if not increase, the access to SNAP benefits for kids, elderly, those who may be disabled.
And everybody in between.
And everyone in between.
I heard that some of the, I don't know why some of the, the farmers markets, there are some that are out there that you can take your food stamp card, your SNAP, and I guess you can, and these people will be reimbursed. A lot of them won't. Why won't they? They think they're not going to get as much money? I don't get it.
I'm not really sure about that. I know that there are a lot of farmers markets that do take the EBT cards.
Which they should.
Yeah,
frankly.
And actually there's a program in Massachusetts that is called the Healthy Incentives Program. And so if someone is eligible for SNAP benefits, it's an automatic amount of money based on the number of people in your household that they get to use at a farmer's market. And so this past year was the first year, and the state wasn't sure how it was going to go, and they basically sold out the program in the first 6 months. And folks had to go back to the legislator and ask for increased funding for this year because people used it. They used those benefits at the farmer, and it's a win-win. People who are at risk of hunger are getting nutritious local foods,
and they're getting they're getting the roughage, which is fiber.
And the farmers are getting paid. So we're supporting our local agriculture, but we're also making sure that families, those kids who are at risk of hunger, are getting the food that they need. So this Healthy Incentive Program in Massachusetts is really a win-win. And
are the farmers getting paid exactly what they're charging? I wonder if that's the key. Okay, so that's not a problem, because I can see some pulling out, be like, well, I'm not getting paid enough. Well, hey, if you're getting paid, you're getting paid.
Yep. So it's a really good, innovative solution of, dealing with this challenge of hunger in the state, but also supporting local agriculture.
How long have you been doing this, Jessica?
So I have been with the organization for over 7 years, and I did my training as a registered dietitian, so I have a background in nutrition science, and I've worked some other places, but found that this type of work of getting people's hands in the food, practicing, taste testing, that's what really changes behavior. That's what gets people to try new things, get them out of their routines, and get them to be, to maybe make a little bit of a healthier choice.
So how many classes in all can you take? How many?
So we do about 100 courses of those 6-week courses across the state every year.
6 weeks, people to be confirmed to come.
They come for 6 weeks.
Yeah. You learn how to, if you're on EBT, SNAP, EBT, the food stamps. you're welcome. And how about some other people who may be very low income too? Are they welcome also?
Yeah, so our program, we really focus on working with parents and caregivers. So we partner with agencies that are serving parents and caregivers, and we find that we can have the best behavior change outcomes.
Right.
People are really willing to make changes. There's something about having a kiddo between 0 and 5 that really gets you thinking about, okay, I want to do the best by this kid. Sure. I want to make this family and make this child have a good experience. And so we find that we're able to make a lot of behavior change and shifts in the way people are cooking and preparing food with that particular demographic. Now, we have classes for adults and other folks who may not fall into that range, but the majority of the work that we do are with parents and caregivers.
How about transferring people to get over to your classes? Let's say they don't drive or whatever. They how do they get there?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges, right? If you are in a situation where maybe you are having trouble making food last to the end of the month.
Or financially challenged for transportation. Not everybody drives, you know?
Right. There's a lot of barriers.
Yes.
We're working with parents, so childcare is sometimes a challenge. Sometimes there's a language barrier. So we're working with the sites, the agencies, and the partner organizations to help us address some of those barriers ahead of time.
You just made a very great statement. What if language barrier? You have somebody in there maybe who just speaks Spanish, and that's cool, but they don't understand. Do you have an interpreter?
Yep.
Okay, good.
We do.
To make sure they understand, too. We're talking with Jessica Cowett, and she is the Senior Program Director for Cooking Matters in Massachusetts. Again, Jessica, how can people reach out to you?
So we have a national website, cookingmatters.org, and you can also reach us on our local website, ma.cookingmatters.org. You can learn a little bit more about the courses that we have going on in your area, as well as other volunteer opportunities.
Now, if you want to volunteer, how do you do that?
It's a good question. So we work with a lot of volunteers, and we have a lot of folks in the Metro West area, actually. So with our 6-week courses, we have 10 to 16 participants show up, but the classes are taught by volunteers.
Sure.
So,
they are. So so if I went in and learned as a volunteer, I better learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
Well, so we bring in volunteers who we train who have a culinary background.
I have no real culinary background.
There's a role for you, I promise.
Okay, all right. I can stand there and say, that looks good. Let's all eat it together.
So we have chefs in our program who teach the culinary portion of the class, the how to read a recipe and how to assemble a recipe, and then we also recruit nutrition instructors, dietitians or nutritionists, and then we recruit assistants because we can't do this work without someone who is doing the some of that grunt work, right? Like
do you do the PowerPoints? Which, thank God.
No.
You do it right there, hands on.
It's all hands on. Our classes are very hands on, and we have discussions. We don't do PowerPoints. It's really meant to get people thinking about what they're doing and then what changes they could make to make their meals a little healthier.
They're also seeing that they're not alone. We just have a couple minutes left. Yeah. They're not alone. Maybe just let them ever connect and make friends. What a great way to kind of bring them together.
Yeah, we've had courses where they connect so well, they end up doing like a weekly cooking club after, and they cook recipes from the cookbook. Or we had a group that started a walking club after. So it's really, sometimes has a momentum that moves along with it and gets people to think about some other choices that they could make.
And everybody who comes is basically challenged one way or the other financially with their EBT card. It's not enough every month. I mean, basically, it ain't. So you got to find another way. Food pantries are great, but I got to tell you, I mean, you can't live on peanut butter and canned bees. You just can't do it. But peanut butter's great. It's good because there's a lot of protein in it. But living on canned peas isn't going to cut it. You got to be able to, just like you're doing.
And that's exactly what we do. We give people creative ways of assembling recipes and doing it in a way that they're going to get the nutrition they need to thrive.
Exactly. Like I said, one more time before we leave, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so our website is www.ma.cookingmatters.org, and we have volunteer opportunities, events calendar, other really good resources. And then if you're interested in recipes, free for download on cookingmatters.org.
I know that at grocery stores, sometimes they'll have a great big bin, and they'll say, donate. So I look in it and I make sure that it's not just pasta sauce.
Yep.
And that, I'm seeing more people reach out now and get things like, brown rice. Healthy, you can do it. And then maybe something like lentils. That's good. Those are healthy beans with protein. It's not bad. Just mix it together. Put a little garlic pepper, salt on it. That type of thing. Little virgin olive oil. It's great, and it hardly costs a thing.
Yeah.
So, like, get creative. You know, I know peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I can't get enough of it.
I
But,
do too.
Oh yeah, but it's great for protein. But this is great. It's a good supplement for people.
Yeah.
Are you close to here? Do you have any classes close to Upton? You know?
We do have a couple classes coming up. I think one in Hopkinton this summer.
They're right up the street. Okay.
Yeah. We do lots of courses in Marlborough.
Okay, they're close.
Occasionally in Milford. So
They're
we
right
do
up
have
the street.
we do have a few things happening.
All right.
And
That's
if
good.
if there's someone who is inspired and they're working with families,
Sure.
they can contact us as well if they feel like they want to offer a course to their clients.
Are you willing to, like, if a church, one of the administration of the churches would love to maybe have you come on board and come teach over there, will you do it?
Yeah, so we do the 6-week courses. We also do one-time grocery store tours, and we do them
I
either
love it.
at the store,
That's great.
or we do it as a sort of workshop style where we come in and we bring props and visual aids, and we talk about the 4 key objectives from
Yeah.
the Cooking Mass curriculum of, how do you read a nutrition label? How do you use unit price? How do you use all these skills to help you stay within your food budget and stretch your food dollars?
I
a
want to
little
go on
more?
one of these grocery tours. You know what? I think you can always learn.
Yeah.
And read all the labels, but I have a lot more to learn. And I think this would be awesome. And then I can maybe bring someone with me who's having a tough time or whatever. Say, come on with me. Let's go.
Yeah. And we all learn from each other.
Yeah.
These classes are meant to be very discussion based,
Yeah.
and everyone talks and shares. And every time I do a class, I've been doing this, like I said, for 7 years, I learn something new from a participant, from
Yeah.
a volunteer,
Yeah.
maybe a different way of saying something that is more effective. It's all about learning and
Okay.
that growth opportunity for people to do something a little
Before we
different.
close, so how long is a tour? How many minutes? An hour?
So the tour is an hour long.
Oh, I
Yep.
could do that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's really neat.
Yep,
And
so
you come
check-
out here to the local grocery store and that's
We
it.
do. Yep.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you
being
for
with us,
having me
Jessica.
today.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time. I'll be my guest.
Thanks.